Welcome dear learners in this video session for antihypertensive drug part 3. As in part 2 I have discussed for diuretics. Today we will see the ACE inhibitors, angiotensin receptor blockers as well as vasodilators as an antihypertensive drugs. So let us start with the lecture. Now what is ACE inhibitors? Means angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. So generally it have the sulfahydryl containing dipeptide in its structure and does not block angiotensin receptors. But what is the role of ACE inhibitors? It will inhibit the conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2 receptors. This is the role of ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. So ACE inhibitor inhibit this conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Now, these are the examples of drug like captopril, enalapril, ramipril and lisinopril. We will see all this drug in detail. But before that, we will see the pharmacokinetics. There is a basic pharmacokinetic will be same for all the drugs. So it is available only orally. These drugs are available orally. 70 to 75% is absorbed and partly excreted unchanged in urine. The food interferes. See, this is a very important point. When there is a absorption of ACE inhibitor, the food will interfere with this absorption. The half-life of a drug is 2 hours, but generally the action stays for 6 to 12 hours. Now we will see the unwanted effects. So it will produce the hyperkalemia. Means there will be increase in a potassium. Then it will produce a skin rashes. Then this is the effect the angioedema will produce. For example, produce a swelling effect in the deep layers of the skin and other tissues. So like this here, we can see that swelling around the eyes, swelling of the lips. Then over here, it will produce a swelling effect. It's known as angioedema. Then hypotension. While we are taking this kind of drug for longer period of time, it will produce a hypotension-like effect. Then acute renal failure. As it will affect on our renin-angiotensin system, it will produce a acute renal failure. And dry cough. Now what is dry cough? So it is a cough where no mucus is produced and it is irritating. The ACE inhibitors like captopril, enalapril and ramipril can produce dry cough on a long-term use. Why it will produce a dry cough? Because it's due to, we can say, accumulation of bradykinin. By inhibition of ACE, there will be accumulation of bradykinin. So that's why it is produce a dry cough. Now we will see this drug in detail one by one. So captopril, generally the RAS means renin-angiotensin system is overactive in 80% of a hypertensive cases. So what happened? Captopril decreases the TPR means total peripheral resistance on a long term. So it will produce arterioles, it will produce a dilation of arterioles and there will be a fall in a systolic as well as a diastolic blood pressure. There will be no effect in a cardiac output, but it will affect over here on the total peripheral resistance. So it will lower the systolic as well as diastolic blood pressure. Now we will see the enalapril. So how it is more advantageous than captopril? So it's a prodrug. So it will metabolize and after metabolization it will convert it into the enalaprillate. Now what are the advantage of this drug over captopril? So it will produce a longer half-life. Oral dose is a 5 to 20 milligram. The absorption not affected by food. For this enalapril, the absorption is not affected by food. It is advantageous. Rash and loss of taste are the less frequent. Longer onset of action and it will produce a less side effect. As already we have seen, it will produce a longer onset of action as well as it will produce a less side effect. So it is more preferable than captopril. Now the next is a ramipril. So it is a popular AC inhibitor now. It is also a prodrug with a long half-life. It is a tissue specific, means we can give it to as a protective of a heart as well as kidney. What are the uses, particular uses of this drug? So in diabetes with hypertension, we can give the ramipril. The CHF, in this condition, the cardiac heart failure and cardioprotective in a angina pectoris. So when the patient have a disease like a hypertension with a diabetes, or we can say angina pectoris, then also we can give this drug ramipril. So ACE inhibitors are, we can say, the first line drug for hypertension. So how it act as a first line drugs? So ACE inhibitor and hypertension as a first line drugs. So why it is known as first line drug? So we can say that there will be no post hypotension, or we can see electrolyte imbalance. These drugs are safe in asthmatic and diabetic conditions. We can give ACE inhibitors. Prevention of a secondary hyperaldosteronism and potassium loss. And there will be a no rebound hypertension. See, when someone stop taking this ACE inhibitor, okay, so after that there will be no reoccurrence of hypertension. This is most advantageous. And minimal worsening of quality of life. We can say routine life. Means the routine of life is regular. There will be no effect on the routine, like the routine work, or we can say the sleep. That's why these drugs are known as first line drugs for hypertension. Now we will see the angiotensin receptor blockers. Generally it's a angiotensin 2 receptor blockers. So what is the role of angiotensin 2 receptor blockers? So angiotensin 2 receptor blockers, they are the medications that block the actions of angiotensin 2 by preventing the angiotensin 2 from binding to angiotensin 2 receptor on the muscles. It's surrounding the blood vessels. So ultimately the blood vessel dilate and it will reduce in a blood pressure. Means there will be a reduction in a blood pressure. So one drug is there, it's a losartan. It's an example of angiotensin receptor blocker. So it decreases the blood pressure in a hypertensive, which is for long period. Means we can say we have to take it for 24 hours. The heart rate remains unchanged and CVS reflexes are not interfered. No significant effect in a plasma lipid profile, or we can say insulin sensitivity and carbohydrate tolerance. So these are the advantage of angiotensin receptor blockers. Now we will see the pharmacokinetics. So how it will advantageous from ACE inhibitors. So absorption not affected by food. This is the advantage of this losartan. But unlike ACE inhibitors, its bioavailability is low. Right. High first pass metabolism. It will produce high first pass metabolism. It will highly bound to plasma protein, but it will not enter into the brain. Now we will see the unwanted effect. So it will produce same unwanted effect as a ACE inhibitors, like a dry cough, then angioedema, or we can say the skin rashes, as well as for long-term use it will produce a hypotension. Now we will see the next is a vasodilators. Now what is vasodilators? So obviously it will produce a relaxation effect on a smooth muscle. It will dilate the smooth muscles. That's why it is known as vasodilators. So this is the example, hydralazine. Other two drugs are there, like a minoxidil and sodium nitroprusside, that we will see in detail. So first we will see the hydralazine. So it is directly acting vasodilator. The mechanism of action, as per mechanism, it will combine with the receptor in the endothelium of arteriole, and it will produce the nitrogen oxide release. It will release the nitrogen oxide. So because of this, it will produce the relaxation of vascular smooth muscle. That's why we will get the fall in blood pressure. When it fall in blood pressure, subsequently what happens, there will be a stimulation of adrenergic system and it will produce the cardiac stimulation, producing palpitation. Now what is palpitation? The patient can skip the beat, the heartbeat. It's known as palpitation, and it will increase in a cardiac output even in a patients with an anginal attack. So what are the side effects? Ultimately it will produce a tachycardia, there will be increase in a heart rate, increase in a renin secretion, so there will be a sodium retention. These are the side effects of the particular drug, that is a hydralazine. Now we will see the next is a minoxidil. So how it will act? It is a prodrug and it's converted to an active metabolite which act by hyperpolarization of smooth muscles. So it will ultimately produce the relaxation of a smooth muscle. So what happened? It will produce the same effect like a hydralazine. Rarely indicated in a hypertension. See, this minoxidil is generally used for alopecia to promote the hair growth. Rarely it is indicated for hypertension. When the patient have some life-threatening issues, then only we can give minoxidil. Otherwise, we have to avoid this drug in hypertension. Now, the next is sodium nitroprusside. So, rapidly and consistently acting vasodilator. It's rapidly acting vasodilator. It relaxes both the resistance and capacitance vessels and reduce the TPR, total peripheral resistance, as well as the cardiac output. So there will be decrease in a venous return. What is the mechanism of action? Actually, the RBCs convert the nitroprusside to nitrogen oxides. From nitroprusside, it will convert it into the nitrogen oxide and it will relax the muscles by enzymatically to nitrogen oxide. Which enzyme is used over here? It's a glutathione. Means there will be a smooth muscle relaxation by this enzyme. What are the adverse effects? So it will produce palpitation, disorientation. Disorientation means a state of mental confusion. Then psychosis, weakness, as well as lactic acidosis. Now what is lactic acidosis? So it is a condition in which there is a buildup of a lactate in the body with the formation of a excessively low pH in a bloodstream. So in the form of the metabolic acidosis, there will be a excessive acid accumulates due to the problem with the body's oxidative metabolism. So this is all about vasodilators. Now in the next video we will see the alpha, beta as well as the calcium channel blockers as a antihypertensive drug. Thank you dear learners for watching the video. Keep learning.